Z, you there? You guys ready?
Yes.
All right. You're going up.
Let's do it live on a Thursday edition of the program. Is Z there?
I'm here, baby.
Oh, we were looking for a check.
Define here. When you ask that,
in person.
define.
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah.
Angry
You're
Runs,
there.
Dave Njoku. Let's go.
I'm here. What was the issue there, Gibby?
Someone didn't turn on his box.
If only there was a light.
Well, there's a light, and it was right here and easy. Instead of I'm fumbling around. This isn't my normal side. I'm fumbling around. Where's that box at? It's like all the way over here. It's not very well located. Not very well
Janitors
placed.
make excuses.
I don't even
Janitors,
know.
they got no choice. Got to get things done. You look like you got a fresh helmet.
Yeah, I got a little fresh helmet. Sure.
Yeah.
You know, ready.
Looking
Got to get
great.
ready
I
for the week.
missed you.
I got to get a lot of stuff. You got to get a lot of stuff in right now. We're about to hit the road on Saturday, so you got to get a lot in prior to this weekend. So just trying to get it all done.
Are we playing a football game?
You
Yes.
know it.
It's wild. This time of year, it's wild.
It's an awful meaningful football game too.
It sure is. Yeah. I was doing the scores this morning, and as you look at this slate this weekend, there's a lot of stuff that you're like, boy, that game sucks. But then you start to look at the matchups, and there are a ton of games this week where it's kind of a loser leaves town for one or the other. Or division races will be kind of locked in, or you get pushed to the back of the line. Like, there's several games this weekend, kind of in every window, that a lot of these games matter this weekend a ton. There's other than the Jets and Commies, and I think Chicago and Arizona, that's kind of it. Everything else has implications.
That's December football, and that's when there are only 6 teams eliminated. So every game is
everybody else.
26 teams have something to play for this weekend. And so, this is a big, big weekend in terms of jockeying for position. You got a 3-way tie right now in the AFC South. There's a lot. There's a lot going on
NFC
here.
too, bud.
It's awesome. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
there are only 3
NFC
teams
South,
eliminated
they're
in
all
both
7-7.
conferences. Yeah, only 3 teams in both
Yeah.
conferences. Each conference, I should say.
Yeah, it's wild. So you've got the NFC South. They got 3 of them at is there 2 or 3 of them at 7-7, and in the AFC South, there's 3 of them at 8-6.
Yep.
So it's wide open in terms of what could take place this weekend. You are there. I am here. The protocols. It's just a dismal.
Are more people going down?
Spreading. Yeah, Beamsy's down. He's got a basketball tournament tomorrow morning. Kind of a one-day tournament in Stowe he's trying to get ready for. We'll see. Going to miss practice tonight. That's not great. So you do the best you can. These are the cards that have been dealt, and we'll see. I am, because I'm in the middle of all of this, I'm fighting for my life here, kids. That's what's happening. I'm out here battling the protocols. I'm navaging the hell out of things. I don't know if it's doing anything. I used to have such faith.
I know, and now you did a good job selling me on the $100 Navage, and now all of a sudden you're not even sure if it's any good.
I feel better after it's done.
Yeah.
I don't know. In terms of preventative, maybe I needed to be on it quicker. I don't know. They'll probably tell me I got to do it every day.
You've got a lot. They want you to do it every day. That seems outrageous. Yeah, you've got a gift from Nana here. Your ghee, very important for your prime rib. You've got
all the things I
Penzeys
need.
prime rib spices are right here for you. Previtz brought you a present yesterday as well. So you've got 3 things here. 2 of which
I got to get there tomorrow.
2 of which are very critical. If nothing else, you might have to come out here and just pick it up from Jay and be on your way.
You remember the old days with the go in there masked.
Yeah.
To go in there masked and see if I can get in there and make things happen. I don't know. We'll see. I feel fine. As you can tell, I'm still congested, but I feel fine.
This doesn't sound like pure bow greatness.
No. Throat is good. My throat feels great. Just a little bit of congestion that we're battling through. So, that's the way it's going to go. And hopefully everything's good by the time you get to the holidays, and hopefully everything's good with us by the time we get to Sunday. The Browns are on the practice field right now. Not at practice day as part of the media paid attention to. Juan Thornhill, Zadarius Smith, In parentheses, I see believed to be a rest day
for Za'Darius.
Obo Okoronkwo, Anthony Walker Jr., Jordan Kanashik, and Joel Petonio. Do your thing where you run through everything there.
They're going to be very cautious with Thornhill because, number one, Hickman's playing well. Number two, they want this to fully be behind him. Za'Darius is going to be fine. I wouldn't expect Obo. I think Awak will be back this week. Doesn't sound like Jordan Kunashik's in a good spot, and then I think Petonio will be back this week. Yeah, so running through those, that's where it's at. Posic's back 2 days in a row. That should be good.
Yep,
even though they
huge.
really didn't practice yesterday. It was more of an estimated practice participation, but I think that's good. And I said, I think Petonio's good as well. So hopefully those two guys will be back, and then you've got at least that interior trio. Because let me tell you something, this Houston Texans front is very, very good. They're one of two teams in the NFL, or three teams, in the NFL that have 4 players that have 5 or more sacks. Last week, I didn't realize this. Derrick Henry got 20 touches against this defense. Yeah. He finished with 10 yards from scrimmage, the fewest yards from scrimmage in NFL history for a player with 20 or more touches. So this defense, they have not allowed a 100-yard rusher. They have only the last time a team's running backs, a group of running backs on a team rushed for 100 yards was week 4, and that's only happened twice this season. They're giving up 3.1 yards per carry on design runs to running backs, which is the lowest number in the NFL. So we're going to have to throw the football. This is going to have to be Air Flacco again, but you want to be at least stout in the middle of your offensive line. So hopefully with Petonio and Posick back, you'll be able to do that.
Yeah, you got to protect. Now, the good news from our perspective is they will not have C.J. Stroud in this game, so they will not be as potent as they could be.
Correct.
What do you Tank Dell is down,
Yep.
and then Nico Collins trending positively
Trending
from
positive.
their perspective.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And so they'll have Nico Collins, and he's over 1,000 yards. He's got 6 touchdowns, all of which have come at his home stadium. Noah Brown's got 521 yards and a couple of scores. Both of his touchdowns, by the way, came in games that Nico Collins did not participate in. Last week he had 8 for 82 in the touchdown, and then earlier in the season when Collins was out, he went over 170 with a touchdown. But he has not yet found the end zone with Collins on the field.
And it will be Keenum? I saw both Mills and Keenum talk this week. So are they trying to keep it a mystery or?
Maybe, but I mean, Case Keenum just played in 1. They obviously were they wanted to play him, and he played in 1. So I would expect that it would be Case Keenum in this one. Case Keenum's run his last 3 starts, 2-0 with Cleveland, and this last one here with the Houston Texans.
There was I saw some, the people that we know tangentially and some we know absolutely, Mo Pedman and our buddy Florio, who's just been in such a good mood of late, kind of going back
really
and
having a
forth on social.
little bit of a
that
battle.
Was fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Pro Football Talk reported on Joe Flacco's calf injury. Pedman took umbrage that there was not a practice, of which case then Florio took great umbrage with that. Like he had a little bit of rabbit ears on the social yesterday.
Well, I mean, in this case, everybody was right, so it's just funny to me because what Florio was reporting is what the Browns reported as an estimated practice, that he was limited with a calf injury, and Ken got all upset with him, and then Florio got upset with him, and you had Browns fans jumping in saying that pretty sure Cardiac Kid told Florio that Ken had just cooked him like a Christmas dinner, which I thought was fantastic.
Thank God he didn't use cutlet.
I know.
That would have led to a whole different
oh, man.
tone.
Maroon.
Had to use that.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would not have been good in any fashion. Is there a level of concern with Joe and the calf?
I don't think so. I haven't heard anything that would indicate that to me. So, no, I don't think that there is any concern.
Is it right to be a little bit concerned, knowing that we've been down this road before where we've been told it's nothing to worry about, and then Sunday morning at 10:30, there's a big thing to worry about?
This is very different than a throwing shoulder injury that you're not supposed to be worried about. I don't
just
think
throwing
that,
it out there.
Well,
no, I don't
Gibby,
think so.
this is an incredible job out of you of leading here. I think the thing that with us, because of everything that we've been through, anytime I see anything, I'm like, oh, now what?
Yep.
Yeah, just remember in that one portion that you're talking about that Deshaun didn't practice that whole week. They decided he was going to be able to play on Sunday. Like Flacco's practicing.
No, he practiced on Friday.
Against the Baltimore week? I don't think so.
Saturday?
Maybe he did the walkthrough or something like that.
Yeah.
That feels like another lifetime ago, quite honestly.
Yeah. Joe Flacco.
It was 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 weeks ago.
Yeah, it feels like 6 years ago.
No.
Oh, no, longer.
No,
That was
no.
that was the
week
road
4.
game.
It was week 4.
7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 weeks.
Yeah, 3
Well,
months. That's a
more
little
about
different.
I forgot. No. Even
had
6
Flacco
weeks
for
feels
3
like a
weeks.
long time ago.
We had
Oh, my
Flacco for
goodness.
3. We've had a PJ Walker experience and Dorian Thompson-Robinson.
Yeah.
Since that, yeah, we've run the full gamut here with this stretch of injury. So yeah, this is where you're at. This is a guy. All I need out of him, I don't care what he does during the week. Just show up on Sunday. That's it with Flacco. He knows what he is. The arm's lively. I'm not worried about anything with him. Just show up on Saturday and have the arm lively. And quite honestly, to your point earlier about their defense, it's going to need to be because they're good up front. Aren't they 5th in the league in rush defense?
6th, but number 1 against running backs, like traditional true runs, they are number 1 in yards per carry and yards per game. So, yes, they are quite good.
As you were looking at them, how much of a mirror is it to what D'Amico ran with San Francisco?
Yeah, it's same. It's that 4-man front. It's
Same
that
stuff.
49ers. Yeah, same stuff. And they obviously run it, very well. Jonathan Greenard, we talked about, 8th in the league, 12.5 sacks. Sheldon Rankins, 5 sacks. That's his best since 18. Malik Collins has 5 sacks, a career high. Will Anderson, the rookie's got 5 sacks. He's got 2 in his last 2 games. Greenard's got 5.5 in the last 3 games, which is pretty incredible. They got Derek Barnett, who, former first-rounder of the Eagles, got a sack. They've got Jerry Hughes, who's got 68 career sacks, the veteran who's spent time with the Buffalo Bills and other teams. He's got a sack. So they've got a lot of people that can get after it, but get after the quarterback. Yeah, but it's that 4-man front. They play they'll play a lot of nickel on you. They play a ton of zone. They're one of the most zone-heavy teams in the NFL. So that is similar to what you got in San Francisco. They play a lot of zone also. And
Similar to what we used to run.
Right, when Joe Woods came here, exactly. So you're talking about a team that plays 80% zone. That's 5th most in the NFL. They are a big quarters team and a big cover 6 team, which is half the field quarters, half the field cover 2. So you're talking about deep safety, shell coverage. They play the 5th most quarters coverage of anybody in the league. So about a third of the time they're in quarters or cover 6. So a lot of 2 deep, middle of the field open safety looks.
Can I interest you in this news from Aaron Wilson out of Houston?
Probably not, because the way you're saying it makes me
No,
nervous.
you seem excited. I don't know that I want to hear this.
Not practicing today. Will Anderson,
Yeah, he missed last week.
Blake Cashman,
He missed
both
last week.
not expected to play Sunday.
All right, so Will Anderson,
That's
that
a
would
big
be
deal.
That would be
That's
his
a big deal.
It would be a second straight game missed. He's the 3rd overall pick out of Alabama, 5 sacks on the season, 19 quarterback hits, leads the team with 51 pressures. And then Cashman is having a career year. He's the defensive player of the week in Week 6 in the AFC. Leads the team with 87 tackles. This is his first year as a starter. He's having a monster season. So Cashman and Anderson both missed last week. So those are big ones. The guy that missed last week that it would be the biggest for them to get back is obviously, other than C.J. Stroud, would be Nico Collins. And I feel like he at least was limited yesterday. So give me a good news update. You sounded, I guess you were appropriately.
I thought that was going to.
Yeah, it felt the other way. It felt like it was going to be
No,
C.J. Stroud.
I had a smile on my
and he's
face.
fine.
You might not have been able to see it because of the glare
Right,
off
I
of
can
my
I know,
so
but
many Zooms
sometimes
with
you
you.
like other people's misery, namely mine.
Yes, you do. You do.
Yeah, but if
So
it involves the team, I don't want to be like,
Well, that's sometimes true, I think.
Sometimes true, yeah.
oh my
Do
God.
Other
you-
times your personal
What's the
animus
Anderson
triumphs.
injury?
Ankle.
Do we know what the
High
Anderson
ankle
injury?
sprain.
Ankle.
Okay. Yeah, you do wonder. So their last 2 are Titans and Colts, both divisional games. You
Yep.
do wonder if do you be extra cautious and try to be healthy for the last 2.
Yep.
Do you take your time on, does this change the way that they do Nico and handle all of that? You can't do anything about the concussion protocol stuff, but maybe you're not in quite the hurry to rush people back when you go divisional games the last 2 games with the Titans and the
Well,
Colts.
we've
The one
seen-
that's stupefying. They lost 30-6 to the Jets 2 weeks ago.
Zach Wilson. So, and it's part of my prep, they have given up 5 300-yard quarterbacks this season. Most recent was Zach Wilson. Listen to the list of people who've thrown for 300 yards against them. Zach Wilson, Joe Burrow, Trevor Lawrence, Derek Carr, Desmond Ridder. They've allowed 2 100-yard receivers, Jamar Chase, Week 10, Garrett Wilson, Week 14. Yeah, it was Zach Wilson had the best game of his career. I think he was the AFC Offensive Player of the Week. They're not a great pass defense. They're giving up on the season to quarterbacks 68% completion, 258 yards. They haven't given up a ton of touchdowns. They've been very good at not. They've allowed 14 passing touchdowns, now 7 rushing touchdowns to quarterbacks. In fact, 4 of them in the last 5 games alone. So maybe Joe Flacco can get his first rushing touchdown since 2017.
I have more from Mr. Wilson.
Yep.
Texans offensive line today. Tunsil, Scruggs, Dieter, Mason, Heck.
That's what it was last week. It means George Fant's not ready. They've got 4 starters that are out: Patterson, Green, Howard, who was their first rounder in 2019. Heck started last week, made his first start of the season, didn't give up a sack. The guy you can get, Tunsil's given up 5 sacks, but he's 3-time Pro Bowl guy. Juice Scruggs has only started 4 games and has given up 3 sacks to left guard. That's where I'd expect the Browns to really attack him. He's their rookie second-round pick out of Penn State.
Nico Collins has returned to practice for them today. Jimmy Ward returned to practice. John Mechie and Brevin Jordan, along with Shaq Mason.
Yeah, that's Mechie, right?
Mechie.
Yep. Did I say Mechie? Sorry.
Yeah,
that's right.
Mechie Johnson, Garfield Heights standout. So I think you're looking at that. You're getting a little healthy on the perimeter there with Nico back at practice. That's the way that would go. But I think overall, from a Browns perspective, very good news in terms of this Texans team you are going to be playing. A couple of notes around the league. Ndamukong Suh visited the Dolphins yesterday. Hard to imagine this late in the game you could paratroop in and give it a go, I guess.
I mean, I feel like a guy like that can, because he's going to be on a snap count and he gets to just go play and attack for, 20 snaps a game. I think he certainly can do that and be disruptive.
He's been there before, so there would be familiarity with the operation, certainly in Miami, if not with this coaching staff, with others. This from an article on NFL.com. George Pickens had this to say about his viral video of him not blocking. I don't want to get injured. When you stay in and block somebody, you can get run up on easily. In particular, Pickens cited Houston's rookie receiver Tank Dell suffering a season-ending broken fibula earlier this season when he was rolled up on while blocking. Well, there's a lot of that going around with that, but I don't know if you want to say it out loud.
Yeah, I agree. I think that saying it out loud part is the part that makes that very, very interesting because, it's a bad look on tape, and then obviously it becomes a bad look when now you say that on top of it. And there were no concerns about Pickens' talent as a wide receiver in the National Football League, but there certainly were some concerns about Pickens' ability to maybe navigate things as a professional, and this would lend some credence to those concerns.
So we were talking through this last night on the Browns preview show. They got a little history here of talented wide receivers that just become head cases. I mean, Antonio Brown, no one could question the talent. Chase Claypool, Martavis Bryant, George Pickens. I mean, if
some
you
of those
want to
guys had red flags.
Mike Wallace,
Yeah.
by the end there was a little bit of a malcontent.
I think the one that's the hardest to wrap your head around is Antonio Brown because he was. I mean, I talked to people who played with him in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And was like a model citizen, and then all of a sudden it flipped.
Yeah.
Like they loved him. He was like the best guy and best teammate, all this stuff, and then something flipped, and then it went in a very, very different way and has been there for quite a while at this point. All right, this is a fun program for you today. It is a matchup day. You'll hear from both coordinators, Alex Van Pelt, Jim Schwartz. It is a Mailbag Thursday. Tweet us your questions at Browns_daily. We'll get to those coming up at 2:30. Z, you have a conversation as well coming up on the program with A.D. Anthony Bell, who was pretty important in the game on Sunday. So you have that to look forward to, which is very, very nice. So lots to get to on the program today. Coming up next, you will hear from your defensive coordinator, Jim Schwartz. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily. We're off and running on 850 ESPN Cleveland. And let Tide Cleaners take care of your laundry and dry cleaning needs this holiday season. Enjoy $10 off 40 or more all month long with the code BROWNS10. Exclusions do apply. Visit locally owned and operated Tide Cleaners in the greater Cleveland area. Make the most of your holidays. And now let's head to the podium. Defensive coordinator Jim Schwartz.
This week, Kevin said that Miles should be the defensive player of the year this year. Do you agree?
Of course. I think I may have said this before, but in my mind, the definition of a great defense or a great player is when an opponent starts their game plan with we're going to take care of this guy, right? Like, we're not going to let this guy beat us. And he's still able to be effective, and he's still able to, to play at a high level. So there are a lot of guys that can make plays when they don't see attention and things like that. But, in my career, I've really seen it from three players. I've seen it from Miles. I've seen it from Calvin Johnson. And I was a young quality control coach, but it was only the first 3 years of his career. But I saw it from Ray Lewis also. Guys that every week the opponent said, this guy's not going to beat us, and every week that player still made plays. So, Miles fits in that category, affects the game, helps other people make plays. We could have a 2-hour press conference of the ways that he affects the game. I think Kevin alluded to that last year as we had just tied the game up. We go out, the very first play, they try to get a crack toss to Miles' side, and he gets a tackle for, I think, a 6-yard loss, which really won that series for us. 2nd and 16 is tough for any offense. And maybe if that was a, drop back pass and he got a sack, there would have been, a lot of tension. Miles' sack sort of wins the game or sets the Browns up for the win. But because it was a tackle on a run play, I think maybe it sort of gets lost in the shuffle a little bit. But those plays continue to continue to help our team. And we're really glad to have him here. And like I said, every opponent, when I was in Detroit with Calvin, it didn't matter what people did the week before. It didn't matter what they, how they covered. It was like, okay, they're going to have a Calvin plan. Miles is the same way. We sit around a lot of times, okay, what did they do on protection on third down, and how did they do this? And it's like, it really doesn't matter what we saw on tape. We're going to get a different plan for Calvin. I think, in some ways we also saw that recently from Aaron Donald. And I've been on teams that, the offensive coaches say, like, hey, our number one goal is to keep him from making plays, still make plays. So
we just talked to Bubba Ventrone, and he said that Miles is the best player in football, hands down. Do you agree with that assessment?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I'm a little bit biased because I'm here, but, again, for all those reasons that, that we just said, it's really a pleasure watching him play and watching him affect games. And, I mean, say whatever you want about sack numbers and everything else. We're the best third down defense in the league by a pretty good chunk, I think. And he has everything to do with that. Our corners, all three, are really, really high in their coverage percentages. Every single one of them can attribute some of that to Myles Garrett.
Yeah, we know what the Texans lose with C.J. Stroud out. It's arm talent. What did they gain with Keenum in there?
Well, I'd like to say this about C.J. Stroud. First, I've been very, very impressed with him as a rookie player. He doesn't look like a rookie out there. And, you see some young players, it takes them a couple years to get really good command of where to go with the ball, and the game sort of slows down for them. All those things that we talk about, from early in the season, he had that. So he was playing at a really high level. Certainly wish him best for his career. Concussions aren't something to, mess around with. If he's able to play, we'll be ready for him. But, he made accurate throws. He used his legs, had great command of what they were doing offensively, recognized coverages, recognized blitzes, all that. They're top 5 in passing yards and the least amount of turnovers in the league. Sometimes that doesn't go hand in hand. Sometimes you ring up the scoreboard a little bit with a lot of pass plays, but you're also throwing interceptions, and that kid hadn't done that. Case Keenum's been around for a long time, has all the experience in the league. Obviously, he was here. He led the Vikings to an NFC Championship game. I was in Philly when we played him. A true vet that has seen everything. Very accurate passer. He does it a little bit different than C.J. Stroud, but led him to a win last week. And when it's all said and done, head coaches and quarterbacks are judged on wins, and Case Keenum's a winner. So we're going to have to play our very best against him. Our guys know him a little bit, some of his strengths and his weaknesses. So again, whatever the Texans do at quarterback, we're prepared. We're prepared not just for them, but for Davis Mills also.
Jim, what are you thinking during that Hail Mary, and what are the coaching points about if you would want you guys to do anything different there?
Yeah, actually the play before we were poor on. Well, first of all, they should never even get in position for a Hail Mary when it's 30 seconds. We probably our worst play of the game was gave up that chunk when they were on their 25, and it put them in position to take shots. And we just assumed the guy was going to run out of bounds, and that's a bad business to be in. But the play before, we were really protecting the sideline and the end zone. And, they didn't make the play, but we could have played that a lot different and could have put ourselves in better position there. We have some tools in our toolbox to be able to handle it. Anytime they're throwing at the end zone, there's so much of randomness that goes into it, right? We talk about, guys getting up and driving the ball down, getting the ball on the ground, and we talk about guys putting bodies on guys and boxing out. And I thought we had good bodies on guys, and our jumpers did get the ball down. So happened to go to a guy that was laying on the ground, and in all your coaching points, as you're covering a lot of things, guys going for the back tip, guys for the front tip, who's going up, who's going down. I don't think the coaching point is ever included when a guy's laying on the ground, So, and he had been going up, and Greg was on him and sort of bodied him out. That just goes to show you in those situations anything can happen. And I think the coaching point and the lesson learned in that with our guys is don't get them in that position. If we play better sort of fence defense, earlier on, they're doing razzle dazzle, throwback and that kind of stuff as opposed to taking shots at our end zone. We did put ourselves, like when they did get there, all of a sudden now we were protecting field goal too. We had a couple good snaps to keep them out of field goal range, but we got to do better. We got to do better to keep them from getting in position where randomness can cost you the game, and it almost did in that case.
Minor point, but why wasn't JOK on the field for that play when he was on the first half Hail Mary?
Yeah, the first half Hail Mary was different personnel group, and it was more just a zone get back. The last play of the game, we were in a different personnel package, a dime package. But I would say this about JOK: he's getting more and more involved in all our packages. His step as a young player was sort of mastering his own position first. And, he had a little bit of ups and downs, but he was making good progress. He's played at a really high level the last month or so. And we've made a big point to try to get him more on those things. It's puts more on his plate, having to do techniques that he hasn't done before, lead the huddle, do those kind of things that he hasn't done before. But, Sione did a good job on that play. Sione did exactly what he was supposed to do, and that's generally been Anthony Walker's position, and then, a short week, well, not a short week, but when A-Walk couldn't play before the game, it's probably a little bit too late to get Jeremiah in that role, but you're going to see Jeremiah in some of those third down roles. It's time for him not to leave the field for us. You know what I mean? And, it's going to be a little bit more ask of him, and but he's up for it, and he's an impact player for us, and I've been really proud of the progress that he's made.
What's the messaging to the defense when you're going on the road to try to turn that record around and get right so you can get those wins in the tough road environments?
Yeah, I think that, you start off your game plan every week with the players and the schemes and those things. And as the week goes on, it needs to, after you get past that point, it needs to go into more of the, us against the world kind of mentality. You're going into a hostile environment and embracing that. And, that's another step that we need to take as a team and as a defense is winning on the road. It's hard, when you get December and you get January and games mean a lot, winning on the road means an awful lot. And we haven't always played our best on the road, and we've learned some lessons, and hopefully that will pay off for us now as we mature and we sort of, learn how to deal with it and what's at stake. We get a lot of energy from our home crowd, right? Every single one of our guys will talk about that, right? And it's, how much the dog pound and everything else sort of helps us to have the things that we value, right? The effort and the personality and the swag and, the physical toughness, all those things. We feed off of our crowd, but we got to manufacture it a little bit more on the road. And the best way to manufacture it is to sort of create that us against the world, going into the Lions Den kind of thing. It'll be a great environment. Houston's battling for the division lead. We're all playing important games in December, so we look forward to that challenge.
And when we've talked to the players about surviving the ups and downs of the season, culture is a word that comes up. So what's the importance of that, and what does that word mean to you?
Yeah, I think I quoted Mike Vrabel before, and Vrabes had a really good way of saying culture, and I can't remember exactly the way it was, but culture is defined by how you are when things are the worst. I think I don't want to step on him, but it's easy for culture to be good when things are going well, right? I mean, it's sort of the definition of being a front runner, right? Hey, when things are going great, everybody can be, first guy in the meeting. Everybody can be unselfish. Everybody, all those things are easy to do when you're winning. When you experience some injuries or you experience a couple losses in a row or any of those things, when you don't have good culture, all of a sudden you start seeing guys that become maybe a little bit selfish, or guys start dropping off, or you start getting all those things. We haven't seen that from this team. This team has been resilient. Particularly recently, we've had to deal with a lot of injury situations. You've seen unselfishness from players. With that and it's not like things are bad. I say when you're at your worst, or when things are the worst, how you are is how culture is defined. But I'd probably just shift that a little bit. Your culture is defined by, how you act when things are most challenging. And we've had some challenging times, all season as a team. And when it's all said and done, you rely on your culture as opposed to, a certain play call or, certain personnel package or anything else. That's one of the things we've been preaching here probably since, almost a year ago when I sat up here and said the things that we value and what we're going to try to emphasize. Schemes are transient, they come and go, and, all those different things. But, I found with our guys, when you bring things to their attention, when you ask something from them, they've responded really well. And I think, that's a good definition of, or that's a good indicator of how our culture has carried us this year.
We got time for one more.
Myles Garrett was hoping that his post-game venting about the officiating might have sort of the desired effect the following game, and perhaps a hold would get called. It didn't work out that way. What are your thoughts on that, and what can he do to beat this sort of thing?
Yeah, he just keeps going out and doing what he does, which is play hard and be relentless and not get discouraged. And I think it was a couple weeks ago we were playing Jacksonville those last couple series. I don't know if I've ever seen him rush as well. And that was, he was, wasn't getting the benefit of calls, but it wasn't affecting his next snap. He just kept on going. And, I think in any of those things, we're trying to concentrate on ourselves. We play, we let the officials officiate. And, hopefully, they can see some of those things and, they can help him. My biggest concern with Miles isn't necessarily the getting the flags, which, put him back 10 yards or any of that stuff. That guy is so unusual. When you rush the passer, your body gets in some tough positions, right? You get that torque, you get that lean and those things. And we protect ball carriers and a lot of things with like horse collars and face masks and, different things like that to try to keep them from getting injured. But you're very vulnerable as a pass rusher a lot of times. And some things that don't look like much can be tough situations, can be dangerous situations for defensive players. And that's probably my biggest concern is his physical health when things like that happen. I make bad calls in the game. Players make bad plays. Officials, I'm sure they're not happy 100% with the way the games play out. But with an eye toward player safety and things like that, when guys get yanked or torqued or turned, you can see some of those those muscle injuries or those skeletal injuries come to the forefront. And I know our officials have player safety in mind and things like that, but I think a lot of times we think about ball carriers when we think about player safety, right? In defenseless players and some of those kind of hits. But being a defensive coach, those pass rushers are vulnerable an awful lot. And, I think that they deserve the same kind of protection that some of the offensive players get.
Well, they absolutely do. That's the first time I've heard anybody advocate for defensive linemen in terms of their safety and the way that the game is officiated. But good job at a coach. When you hear him talk about that torque that Miles plays with, his ability to get that lean, we've all seen it 1,000 times, and many of you have seen it in the still images that have been put out by the various people on our beat of the times he gets held. Take a look at the way that his body is torqued in those positions, and you're going to see exactly what Coach Schwartz is talking about there at the end of his press conference. We will hit the matchup with this Browns defense against a Texans offense that most likely will be led by Case Keenum coming up a little bit later in the program. It is a Mailbag Thursday edition of the program as well. Tweet those into Gibbe at Browns_daily, and we will get to those coming up at 2:33. If your game plan for this season includes buying or selling a home, Howard Hanna is going to have the answer for you on that. They're delivering a winning strategy for breaking down the game of real estate. As market leaders in Northeast Ohio, more buyers and sellers trust Howard Hanna to be their winning home team. Visit howardhanna.com/go Browns today. Z one-on-one with the Anthony Bell coming up next. You're listening to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland.
Welcome back to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Bally Bet, sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. Time now to be joined by Browns safety D'Anthony Bell, coming off of your first start in the National Football League. First of all, let's talk about before the game even happened. You come walking in. Give me the genesis of this outfit and what the message you were conveying as you walked in that really cool mask.
Yeah, well, I've been wearing the mask all year, so I just came in like, hey, first start, got to put the mask on. You know, a lot of people don't know who I am, so it's kind of that blocking who I am, but tonight I'm going to show who I am. So one of those messages for me.
I like that. So what did it feel like to go out there and get your first start?
It felt good. You know, it was just exciting to play with those guys. You know, you see the energy that we come with every Sunday, so being out there really in the mix with them and having the same energy, celebrating for everybody celebrating for me too, it was amazing.
So you think about you're taking on the Chicago Bears. They're a big play offense, lots of chunk plays. Ronnie's making his second start, was an undrafted free agent this year. You were undrafted last year, the first one to ever make a 53 with Kevin Stefanski and Andrew Berry. Duron Harmon was on his couch a few weeks ago. You three, he managed that back end and even some in the box, obviously, and didn't allow any of those big plays. What was it like kind of going out there, the communication with the young guys, between you guys, stepping up, making those plays?
Yeah, well, I think it was the same. You know, it's every week. You know, they hold us to that standard every week, and they like, hey, when you get in, you got to know what to do. You got to be accountable. You got to communicate with everybody. Everybody, they got to know how to communicate with you. So just having that same standard, you know, we hold ourselves to that standard, and they hold us to a higher standard now. So it's like, hey, you got to continue.
Showing you can do it.
Yeah, you got to continue to do it.
So you think about your journey and where you went to college and coming out of that and how long you were before you got to the National Football League. Was that something where you were able to look back on that and be like, I just started a game in the NFL on a 9-5 Cleveland Browns team, and all the people that probably thought there's no way it was going to happen, I just did it. Yeah. How cool was that for you?
Man, it was a big blessing, you know, and I look back at my past and I'm like, I'm grateful for everything that I went through, you know, because it helped me today, and it helped me realize all the things that I probably could have did wrong if I didn't go down that path. So it was a blessing, man. I went home, I'm hugging my family, and I'm like, man, it's a big blessing to be able to do it. So grateful.
It's awesome. And you've got a lot of veterans in your room who unfortunately were not able to play. Grant, Rodney, Juan. What was kind of their message to you, and how did they respond to the plays you were able to make out there?
Oh, yeah, they was excited for me. You know, Rod, Juan, they was on the sideline, so every time I came off, they was giving me tips and helping me and telling me what they see. So throughout the whole week, they've been telling me what they see on film, and I'm implementing it in my game. So they've been helping me the whole week, just like they're going to do this week. So,
all right. We've spent a little time talking, but we obviously have to talk about the final play of the game. All right. Ball snapped. What's going through your mind to the point? Take me through that to the point where you get the ball.
Yeah. So eventually the ball snapped, and then I'm originally a jumper, so I'm supposed to jump. But all week we have been watching film on people that was jumping, and the other team would go to the front and try to catch the ball when it's batted. So my first instinct was like, maybe somebody going to go to the front and try to catch the ball. So maybe I should work towards that way. And once I seen it falling in his hand, I'm running. I'm like, let me get on him to knock it down. And he popped it right up into my hand. So it was the first one, and a blessed one.
I mean, it was amazing. It was one of those, oh, boy, it could have gone a lot of different directions right there. When you saw it pop up, were you kind of like, oh, my God? Yeah. I can't even believe the ball. And then you got it. Did you think about taking it to the house?
No. I knew it with no time. I'm like, let me go down. First one, no mistakes after this. Just go down, end the game.
Smart. What was everybody kind of saying to you after that? You got obviously you got your first interception. I'm sure you got the ball. Right. How cool is that?
Yeah, it was amazing. Everybody was like, man, congratulations. They're like, you supposed to have one last week, but you know, we'll take this one. So it was amazing.
Did you guys watch that back on film and you're like, all right, now we have a plan. If somebody tries to do that again, we're not going to let anybody potentially do that?
Right, yeah. They just go back and be like, hey, let's make sure we all don't make it this close next time. So hopefully we don't got to be in that position. So
as you look forward to your second start now going against the Houston Texans team, looks like they might not have C.J. Stroud, but they've been an explosive offense, a big play offense, can throw it down the field. They've got good running backs. How excited are you kind of get another one? Now you've had it under your belt. You know exactly what to expect when you go out there and your preparations for this one.
Yeah, I'm excited. You know, I still got I got Rod in the room. I got Juan in the room. So having those guys watching film with me and I'm watching film with them and getting after and watching film with Duron, who was on year 11, and seeing what they see is just I'm excited. You know, it's no nervousness when you got guys like that behind you that can show you the way. So I'm excited.
I like that. I like that confidence. And, you know, you look at this team and you step up. You think about this game. Ronnie played a great game. You step up. Mahmoud comes up with the fumble recovery. Cam Mitchell, Alex Wright has a big sack and everything. First and second year guys thrust into action, making plays here in December in Cleveland. You know, You think about, like, is it kind of crazy to you? Like, when it's not just you, right? It's a bunch of different people that are stepping up.
Yeah, I think it just all reverts back to having those vets in the room. We've been watching those guys make plays like this all year. So when our time comes, it's like, hey, they've been doing it. We got to do it too. You know, we can't let down the standard. So having Mahmoud come in there and make a play, and then having me make a play, Alex make a play, Cam, Ronnie, it's like, hey, man, we knew it was coming. We knew we could do it. It's just we had to wait our time, and the time was now.
Now, and you went out there next year. All right, are we going to run that mask back? Or are we doing something different for Houston? What's the deal? Because that was pretty good.
We're going to do something different. Maybe Thursday night game. Maybe Thursday night.
D'Anthony, thanks so much for your time. Congrats to you. This is such a great story, and there's more to be told, right? More to be told. Some big games coming up here. Thanks for all you've done, and best of luck out there.
Thank you.
All right, we'll be back with more on Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet, right after this. Sure.
Medical mistake cause you injury. Call the medical malpractice attorneys at 1-800-ELK Ohio. Elk and Elk's proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. It is a matchup day. You heard from defensive coordinator Jim Schwartz. You've heard from DeAnthony Bell. And now it's time for that matchup presented by Bally Bet, sports betting partner, your Cleveland Browns, now live in Ohio. And for that, you will now hear from Dr. Z.
All right, folks, this is a Texans team that looks to be without C.J. Stroud. Did not practice today. Reports out of Houston continue to indicate that he will not be ready to go this Sunday. Case Keenum will be the starter. Keenum this year won his only start. It was last week, 23 of 36, 64%, 229, touchdown and interception. Led a 5-play, 44-yard drive in overtime to set up Kaimi Fairbairn's game winner. And by the way, he's been a little bit of a weapon. You have to include him on the offensive side. Kaimi Fairbairn, 22 of 23 this year, has only missed from 50-plus, has not missed an extra point. So inside of 50 yards this year, let's see, quick math, 17, 19, including extra points, 34 of 34. He's been pretty darn good. They can run it. Devin Singletary, since week 9. Would you have had this, Gibbe, if we did guess the stats? Where's Devin Singletary rank? And obviously it's leading, so you know the answer. In rushing yards since week 9 in the NFL.
Pretty darn good.
Third, behind Christian McCaffrey and Rashad White, 3 100-yard games, coming off of a career-high 170 total yards, 121 rushing in the win over the Tennessee Titans. So they can run it, and it's his show. He played 58 snaps out of 76, 4 for Damian Pierce, who was their leading rusher a year ago, and 15 for Dare Ogunbowale. Oh, boy, that's a mouthful there. They can throw it, as we talked about. Dalton Schultz over 505 touchdowns. They've got Nico Collins back. He's got 1,000 yards. Nico Collins, at home, 808 of his 1,004 yards have come at home. That's the second most in the NFL, behind only Tyreek Hill. All 6 of his touchdowns have come at home, third in the NFL. They have 7 games where a wide receiver has been gone for more than 140 yards this season. That's tied for the most with Miami. Nico Collins, 3, Noah Brown, 2. Tank Dell, who's on IR, he's got 2 of them as well. So they can throw it a little bit, but with Keenum, it's going to be much shorter passing, not as explosive. With C.J. Stroud, he was averaging over 8 yards an attempt, C.J. Stroud had 6 300-yard games this season, 20 touchdowns, 5 picks, the lowest interception rate in the league. So with Keenum, look for the ball to be out quick. He knows how to run the offense. We saw it here. Now they've got some issues on their offensive line. They're down a ton of starters. Could be without their now starting right tackle, George Fant, but he was their second-string right tackle, so similar to us. A couple of their guards are out. Their tackles are out. Their center is out as well. So this is a team that is, like us, decimated along the offensive line. Their only kind of holdover, Laramie Tunsil, the 3-time Pro Bowl left tackle. So that's what they're going to do. A lot of under center. They're going to get Case Keenum. He's going to be under center. They're going to run it from under center. Even with C.J. Stroud for the season, 38% under center, 7th most in the NFL. So a kind of a very traditional offense. Bobby Slowick, who's the offensive coordinator, where did he come from? The Kyle Shanahan tree. So you're going to see a lot of that outside zone, a lot of the play-action boots, a lot of the staples. And so for Case Keenum, a very natural offense for him to run. And then for our defense, we've got to try to get after the quarterback. They've given up 41 sacks, have the Texans. That is the 6th most in the NFL, 3rd most in the AFC. So get after him. Miles, Dalvin, Za'Darius, Shelby Harris, Jordan Elliott, Alex Wright, who's got 2 sacks now on the season. Going to try to heat him up because I think with Keenum, you're not as worried about the long developing vertical passing game. You're more worried about the ball coming out quickly. And while we've got 3 corners right now, how about this? MJ Emerson, Greg Newsome, and Denzel Ward, all in the top 15 of all corners in terms of completion percentage allowed, all 3 within the top 21 of quarterback rating allowed. MJ Emerson, 4th in completion percentage, 2nd in rating. Newsome, 15th in completion percentage, 13th in rating. This is in the NFL. Denzel Ward, 8th in completion percentage, 21st there. So you've got 3 guys in the top 21. Remember that there's 3 times 32. There's 96 corners starting for teams in the National Football League, and we have 3 of the top 15 in completion percentage, 3 of the top 21 in terms of quarterback rating when targeted. So JOK continuing to be a stud. He's on pace for his first 100-tackle season, 16 tackles away. Now leads the team in tackles. His 3.5 sacks are tied for 3rd on the team. He has got his first career interception. He has got 18 tackles for loss, which is 3rd in the NFL. it's unbelievable. Only Daniil Hunter and Max Crosby, who are defensive ends that are trying to get behind the line of scrimmage every single play, have more tackles for a loss than he does. And he's 4 tackles for a loss away from tying Jameer Miller, who had 22, which was the most ever in Cleveland Browns history. 5 tackles for loss over the final 3 games, and he will set a new Cleveland Browns record. He has been so good. So I like this matchup. They're not a great running team, although Devin Singletary has made them better of late. They're top 5 passing, but it'll be very different with Keenum. They have thrown only 6 picks this year, fewest in the NFL, which is why they're so good in the turnover battle, +8. That's been kind of their key to success. They're pretty middling on third down, middle of the league, middle in the red zone, middle in goal-to-go situations. What they have been very good is explosive passing with C.J. Stroud, playing good defense, not turning the football over. They're not going to be as explosive with Case Keenum. So if you can put points on the board, I think the Browns will be able to come away with a win here. And I think you have a chance to kind of suffocate this offense a little bit.
When you look, I was just thinking about as you're kind of going through that breakdown there defensively, if you just build it from the line up, Miles, Dalvin, Elliott, and then you still have Za'Darius and Alex Wright, as you mentioned, the 2 sacks and a monster one in the game this weekend. Alex Wright's really come on with the loss of Obo, but pretty good there on that side of things. You mentioned Shelby as well. Linebacker, you should be all good, right?
Yep.
I mean, you JOK, your AWOC, and your Talk.
Hopefully AWOC will have to monitor that, but hopefully AWOC is back. Taki playing at a high level, and Tony Fields is playing well. And remember, the last time we were down in Houston, Tony Fields had the pick 6 off of the Chase Winovich tip, and then threw the ball to his dad, who dove over like 3 rows to catch it, and it made all kinds of news, went viral. So yeah, that's what we're looking at there.
We had Tone in after that, didn't we?
We did. Oh yeah,
it was with us?
Yes, an unbelievable moment. Yeah, he was great.
That's great.
By the way,
and then at corner, is this as healthy we've been at corner? If Denzel with another week to be healthy, I mean, you should have everybody there you need.
Absolutely, yeah. You got Denzel Ward back. Expect his reps to go up. He only played 43 snaps in the last one. MJ Emerson played 71, so still the majority. And Cam Mitchell played really well. But yeah, you should be back to having him, at 100% or as close to it as anybody can be. And then just a little bit of news on the Browns. Joel Bitonio spoke with me today, said he's feeling a lot better and is hoping to practice tomorrow, which is certainly good to see.
Well, that would be good to see. You mentioned Thornhill, Bell and Hickman in. So Thornhill will you mentioned all week, and I think there's probably some pay attention to that a little bit. Like they want to make sure that he's all the way before him coming back, and with a short turn and the Jets here on Thursday, that would only buttress that point of. And by the way, Hickman's been great.
Great
starts.
Yeah, he's been fantastic, and the play of Ronnie Hickman allows for you to be a little bit more cautious and judicious, right, with Juan Thornhill and that calf, because what you don't want is this to continue to linger. And for Thornhill, this is the same calf that has plagued him and kept him out of week 1. And so I think the thought process is let's get that back to 100%. And we've got Hickman out there. He's playing well. We've got DeAnthony Bell. We've got Deron Harmon. Let's get him back to 100% before we get him out there. What'll be interesting to see is when he is back, the 2 best safeties are probably Thornhill and Hickman, but both of them play the same position. Neither one really comes down and plays in the box. So what will happen there?
You're lucky when you think of everything that's going on the offensive side, and to be here with 3 games to play and have relative health. I mean, obviously no Delpit and Thornhill, and you're missing guys, but like compared to the other side of the ball, it's something else. And you mentioned as in the breakdown as well there the losses that the Texans have on their offensive line.
Yep.
And it does feel like kind of an overwhelming advantage for our front against their offensive line, and it'll be a point of great concern if you are paying attention to the Texans and hoping for them to keep pace in the AFC South. I know Jacksonville has Indy plays the Falcons, and Jacksonville is at Tampa. So it's everybody. I mean, they are the only ones playing a conference game. Everybody else is crossing over. Indy oddly is a dog in that game at Atlanta. Which I don't understand.
Don't get that at all. But that's one when we do the scores that. It makes so little sense to me that it feels like who is going to be on the side of the Falcons?
Nobody, right?
Right. No, well.
The way they played.
What's wild is
I don't know.
It opened. This line has moved 3 points. This line opened at Atlanta +2, Indy -2. and is now Indy +1, Atlanta -1. And the money is obviously on Atlanta to make that happen, which is I'm very curious. I don't understand really that.
Jonathan Taylor's back. He's playing.
Yep.
So Indy's as healthy as they've been by the time you get to that game. So it's strange. And I think the Jaguars are 1-point dogs at Tampa too. Pretty sure.
Jags are 2-point dogs at Tampa.
Now 2. Okay.
Yep.
There you go. There you go on that side of things. All right, when a medical mistake causes you injury, call the medical malpractice attorneys at 1-800-ELK, Ohio. Elk & Oak's proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. We continue the matchup on the other side of the ball. You'll hear from our offensive coordinator, Alex Van Pelt, as well. You'll listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. And be part of one of the most passionate fan bases in the National Football League. Join Next Gen STM, presented by Ticketmaster, official wait list of your Cleveland Browns. Being a Next Gen STM is the best chance to become a season ticket member in future seasons. Visit clevelandbrowns.com/nextgenstm to reserve your spots today. And now let's head to the podium. Our offensive coordinator, Alex Van Pelt.
Bare bones today. Must be.
Fourth quarter last week, huh?
Yeah, again, this team's just resilient. It's made it a little harder than we needed to, but I love the fight in this team for sure.
For reasons of the offense going forward and just for him in general, how happy were you for Marquise?
Oh, it's huge. He's battled through some things early, obviously in the off season. Coming back and then dealing with the concussion mid-season. It's great to see him have productivity down the field.
If he does that, can that open up things for other guys?
Absolutely. And that's, the play was designed to go to Coop, and they doubled Coop, so his speed allowed him to get behind the defense, and that was a huge play in the game.
When you have a veteran like Joe, did you even know that when he was throwing the picks that, he's just the kind of guy that was going to be able to dial it back in and lock back in and get the job done?
Yeah, I mean, if that's a younger player, you start to get a little frazzled. But, the older you get, and you've thrown a bunch of interceptions in your time, you just got to keep fighting. Go back to the guys like Marino. You got to keep swinging. So, some of those were unfortunate. Again, the first one was just a misread on the coverage. So that's not on him. The second one was a bang play where the ball pops up. That's a tough one. So the third one was the one he's probably most disappointed about. We had a chance there for a touchdown to Dave, and I think he just underthrew it a little, and he knows that. But the veterans, you just keep playing short memory.
Joe downplayed the 51-yard touchdown to Amari, but when's the last time you saw a quarterback thread it like that between three defenders?
Yeah, that's what he can do, and that's coverage in that scheme. There's a coverage corner on the backside that almost got underneath of that. In the quarterback room, we've always steak dinner throw. So if you throw an interception to that corner, you owe the whole room a steak dinner at the marble room. So it didn't happen for us, but that's a tough coverage, and his arm strength got that ball there.
You talk about David Njoku. He's really stepped up big the last 2 weeks. Right when you need him, playmaking ability.
It's huge. So happy for Dave because there's a guy that deserves it. He works hard. He's battling through injury all the time, to get there. Again, one of the greatest teammates on our team for everything he does, and one of the most productive guys. I don't know if there's another tight end in the league I'd rather have than David.
Is it almost full circle for him to see him progress from a guy that embraces his role as a blocker, and then now to be able to get those touchdown passes, to be able to get those deep balls from Joe?
So again, couldn't be more happy for Dave. When we first got here, it wasn't always smooth sailing, and and he's really bought in, and it shows. And Kevin's got a great trust and belief in him as well, and it's great to see that he's thriving right now. Really happy.
How many toy pickup trucks has he gotten so far this year? Where do you get these toy trucks, and maybe you can bring them in sometime?
I can bring a truck in, sure. The toy trucks, I don't know, probably Toys R Us would be my guess. They're nice big trucks. Dave's probably had 5 or 6 on the season so far. He won one last week as well as did Harry. So our tight end group had a ton of pickups, and that's what we're all about. That when we play connected as a unit, as a team, and we play for each other, we generally have good days.
Where did that idea come from? I guess how long have you been doing that?
As a quarterback, when I played, I always tried to be the first one to help guys up off the field. That's just something I always believed in. The tighter the group, the more success you have, and that's just something that I've always done. And these guys have all bought in across the board as a team, and it's awesome to see. You hate to see a guy lay there and then guys walk away, and we don't want to put that on film.
Alex, you've seen them all for 30 years. What makes Myles Garrett different than those pass rushers?
Oh, man, he's a generational pass rusher. I mean, his strength, his power, his quickness, he's special. I mean, I don't know if we blocked him out there on the edge when we do compete periods yet. So, I mean, he's dynamic, and I'm glad he's on our team. We don't have to block him in a game.
Alex, what are some of the nuances just about the way you guys teach and then run the play action game? Because even on a day like Sunday where the run game wasn't really working for you, that was still such a weapon for you guys offensively. Yeah,
I mean, we take pride in our ability to ball handle and fake. As well with our line and our backs, and our quarterback is really good at it. It's a point of emphasis for us is to make our play actions look like real runs. Really until a team tries to stop your run with the middle field open, that takes away some of those play actions. But they continue to close the middle of the field and give us opportunities in the play action game, which was good.
Alex, how tough was it to see Joel, have the back early, pregame, and then not be able to finish it for you?
Yeah, it was tough. I mean, you lose a leader, of your offense, a great player, Pro Bowler. It's tough. Backs are tricky, and it has just slipped out, and that was it. Appreciate him trying to battle to get through that, but at some point, obviously, you had to tap out. And what a great job by Dunny. Again, Dunny just steps in and does his job, to the best of his effort. Last week he won a game ball because of it. So really proud of him. But hopefully, as we move forward, we can get our guys healthy and get them back in. We'll see.
Obviously you guys didn't run the ball like you wanted to. Right. How much of that is having 4 guys that aren't usually out there?
That's pretty big. Yeah, it's big, but it's no excuse. We got to find a way to be productive in the run game regardless of who's on the field.
As you guys have dealt with the struggles in the run game, though, what has just impressed you about the passing game? And I know obviously part of that's Joe, but your receivers and the way that they've been able to have success in the passing game.
It's been great. I mean, everybody has stepped up across the board. I think we had 8 or 9 different completions to different players again last week. So the ball's getting spread around the field. We're using everybody, and that makes the defense play the whole field.
Joe, is he moving maybe even a little bit better than you thought he would in the keeper game? And then also, he was limited, or would have been limited yesterday with the calf injury. Is he totally fine, and how might that impact the keeper game?
Yeah, no, I mean, he's been moving probably better than I expected. We had some huge 3 big plays on a scramble drill during the game, including the touchdown to Dave. His calf, he tweaked it a little bit, but I don't see that as being an issue. So, yeah, but man, he's made some great plays moving out of the pocket. And he's also made some great plays buying time in the pocket versus pressure. The big one to Dave late in the game was that.
Changed how you guys are calling anything, knowing that he is moving better than expected?
Yeah, I think it opens up some more things to us for sure.
Going back to David, when you mentioned it wasn't always smooth sailing early, it doesn't always work out like this for guys in situations like that. So I guess what is it about him that allowed him to sort of overcome that stuff and sort of turn things around?
The person. I think the person he's prideful. He wants to be successful. And a lot of times when guys get frustrated early, it's because they're not having the success that they feel like they need to have. And Dave, he worked through that. And then he became an unbelievable blocker. Like, took his game to the next level in the blocking. And just stayed the course and worked. And again, I can't be more proud of anybody on this team than I am with Dave. Just for his energy, his work ethic, and his ability just to the resiliency to just keep going. And great player, man. I'm glad he's on our team.
When you look at that Houston defense, where does it start for you?
Up front. Yeah, that's a really good front, across the board. The front 4. They rotate in, but they're really good up front. So that's where I think what drives that defense is the front.
And then I know we talk about Amari all the time, but he's close to becoming, I think, the first Browns receiver to go 1,000-yard back-to-back seasons.
Excellent.
What is it about him that allows him to be as consistent as he is?
I mean, he's a pro. I think that's the biggest thing. He's a dynamic route runner. He can create space. He can break leverage. Which is another one. Teams, they try to play true to their leverage. We has a tendency to be able to break that through his explosiveness of route running.
Good.
All righty. Thanks, guys. Merry Christmas.
You're up.
All right, there you go. AVP at the podium. And time for a little more on the matchup presented by Ballybet, sports betting partner of your Cleveland Browns. Our offense versus the Texans defense. For that, we go to Dr. Z.
All right, on the season, the Houston Texans defense, they check in. They are 15th in points per game, 21. They are the number 6 run defense, 93.5 yards a game, but only 3.4 yards per carry. They are the 25th ranked pass defense, 239.1 yards per game, 16th in total yards, so middle there. Interceptions, they've got 12, that's 13th. Turnover margin, +8, 4th. Third downs, they are 18th. Fourth downs, 23rd. 15th in the red zone, so very average defense. But what can they do? They can affect the quarterback. Last week they had 7 sacks in their win over the Tennessee Titans. And you mentioned the front. Looks like maybe good news, Will Anderson would not be available. Good news from a Browns standpoint. He has 5 sacks. Malik Collins has a career-high 5 sacks. Sheldon Rankins has 5 sacks. That's the most he's had since 2018. And then Jonathan Greenard having an absolute breakout season. 12.5 sacks this year. He had, just in the years prior, he had 10.5 in 3 seasons prior to this one, 12.5 this year, 8th in the NFL. So they can rush the passer. They've got linebackers, Denzel Perryman, Christian Harris, Blake Cashman. Now, Cashman, he could be out again, means it would be Perryman and Harris, and they'd live a lot in the nickel. Perryman on the season, he's had a nice year, 61 tackles, Harris 77 tackles, but both struggle mightily in coverage, and that's one of the reasons why they give up the 2nd most receptions and the 3rd most receiving yards per game to tight ends. So David Njoku could have a nice game here. They've got 2 good corners, Steven Nelson, 4 picks, Derek Stingley, 4 picks, good young safety, Jalen Petrie. They've got the veteran Desmond King at nickel, and then Jimmy Ward back after leaving early last week to play, and he's been with the 49ers since 2014. So good secondary. Overall, solid defense. What they have been, though, is impossible to run against. Giving up 70 yards rushing per game to running backs, 3.2 yards a carry. That's the lowest in the NFL. They have not allowed a running back to rush for a touchdown in 5 straight games, but they have struggled against quarterbacks. 5 300-yard games to quarterback. Zach Wilson, Desmond Ridder both threw for 300 yards against this team. On the season, 68% completions, 258 yards, a 90.5 rating to quarterbacks. 21 total touchdowns by quarterbacks as well. 14 passing, 7 rushing, 4 of which have come in the last 5 games. So I think this could be a good game for David Njoku. I like Marquise Goodwin's speed. They're going to play a lot of zone. They are 5th most zone-heavy team in the league. They have a good mix, though, of single high and of split safety looks, although they are near the top of the league in terms of quarters coverage played. They are 5th there. So this is a team that it's very hard to run on. Just ask Derrick Henry. We talked about it earlier, 10 scrimmage yards on 20 touches. That's the first time that's ever happened in the NFL. They're tough to run on. It is going to be very, very tough sledding. So my guess is we're going to have to do what we've been doing, and that is air it out with Joe Flacco. Flacco, by the way, if he throws for 300 yards in this one, he would join Josh McCown as the only Cleveland quarterbacks to throw for more than 300 yards in 3 straight games. McCown did that in 2015. Flacco all-time 5-2 against the Houston Texans. He has one 300-yard game. This is how long he's been in the league. That came back in 2011 when he threw for 305 yards against them. But I think this could be a very good matchup for the Chief, a very good opportunity. I think with the way Marquise Goodwin's playing, I think you could see a lot of Marquise Goodwin opening things up here. I don't expect a big day on the ground, so I think it is going to be a lot of Joe Flacco, a lot of passing, and it's going to be incumbent upon our line, which hopefully will get Joel Bitonio and Ethan Posick back to block up front. If Anderson's out, that's a big deal. Derek Barnett, he got his first sack with Houston last week with Anderson out. Jerry Hughes has 1 sack on the season as well, but Anderson is a stud. I mean, this guy was 3rd overall pick, first defensive player taken in this draft.
Yep, absolutely. And the way that we're playing, the way that we're spinning it could be a fun Sunday down in Houston. All right, coming up next, your Fantasy Minute. Also, a little bit of the mailbag coming your way. Tweet your questions to Gibbe at Browns_Daily, and we will answer those coming up next as well. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily, brought to you by Ballybet. Sports betting partner, your Cleveland Browns, now live in Ohio on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Plus is giving you a chance to win tickets to home games all season long while providing the best deals for your pet at over 75 stores throughout Ohio. Enter to win at clevelandbrowns.com/Pet Supplies Plus and receive a coupon to use at your local store with your entry. Pet Supplies Plus is a proud partner of your Cleveland Browns. Times for the Fantasy Minute presented by Scaleco Capital. Scaleco Capital, investing in scaling companies locally. Man, this is it. It's semifinals time. If you have a league with any sort of dignity to it, this is where we're at.
Oh, baby, this is it. Let's go. This is the semifinals. This should be the semifinals.
Yeah,
in most leagues.
semifinals.
Yeah,
Yeah,
semifinals.
this is
Absolutely.
semifinals. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, because you can't be going into that final week. So, yeah, this is a big one for you
This is
week.
it.
All right, quarterbacks. Again, if you got your studs, you play them. I think this is a big Justin Fields week. I'm excited about Justin Fields. Here are some names that might be on your waiver wire that I think actually could be okay starts today or this week. Baker Mayfield. That's right, against the Jacksonville Jaguars. Matt Stafford tonight against New Orleans. Joe Flacco. That's right, the Browns' own Joe Flacco against the Texans. I think those are three guys that if you needed some help there, because, for example, Trevor Lawrence, we don't know his status right now, not looking good. You might need a quarterback to pick up and play. Running backs, it's the usual suspects. James Cook, obviously, he is becoming a star right before our eyes. That switch at the offensive coordinator position has been great for him. Jonathan Taylor's back. Get him into your lineups. Pacheco back. Get him into your lineups there. Keep an eye on what's going on with Kenneth Walker's status there for the Seahawks. If he's able to go, you start him against Tennessee. If not, Charbonnet becomes a good start for you against the Tennessee Titans as well. And yeah, that's kind of where you're at. Running back, some of the names there. And then wide receivers this week. The wide receiver position. By the way, Tyson Chandler, you saw what he did last week. If he starts again, if Madison's out, you play Tyson Chandler. He has made it into that territory. Wide receivers, again, usual suspects at the top. Maybe we saw a little Devontae Adams come back to life. Kansas City should be a shootout. They should have to throw it. Get him back in your lineups. If Olave's back, get him into your lineups. A deep sleeper for you if you're having some trouble at the wide receiver position. I'll give you a couple of them. Palmer with the Chargers. Noah Brown against the Browns, although I feel pretty good about our ability to kind of stop that team from being able to throw the ball, especially with C.J. Stroud out. And then the third one I'll give you is DeMarcus Robinson's had double-digit points 3 weeks in a row. He's the third receiver with the Rams. He's been getting a lot of looks lately. So Matt Stafford's been slinging around to a lot of people. Robinson's been benefiting of late. Tight ends, Trey McBride, Sam Laporta, obviously, down the line a little bit there. Jace Ferguson, Cole Kmet playing well, getting into the end zone. Darren Waller is back for the Giants. You can get him in your lineups as well. And then I think our own chief, David Njoku, I think a top tight end play this week.
All right, I'm going to lean on you here.
Okay.
In the semis, I got to play 2 of these 4 backs.
2 of 4.
Or I could play 3 of them because I could flex them. I could flex one.
Okay.
Etienne, Taylor, Pacheco, Brian Robinson.
All right, so Jonathan Taylor for sure. Pacheco would be my second choice if he's healthy, if he's back.
Yep.
ETN would be third. So, and no Brian Robinson. ETN would be third against Tampa. But if they don't have Lawrence, then I'm a little more concerned.
All right, now, receiver.
So ETN against
Yeah, so ETN could be the flex. The receivers, I've got to start 2 of Nakua, DJ Moore, Justin Jefferson, Mike Evans, 2 of those 4.
Start 3. Start DJ Moore, Jefferson, and Mike Evans. So then go 2 running backs.
And leave Etienne out.
Yep.
So go Taylor, Pacheco.
It's PPR league, right?
No.
It is not a PPR league.
No.
Well, that's interesting. I still think that's your best trio. Jefferson's back. DJ Moore's been excellent. They're going to throw it, and Mike Evans has been a touchdown machine.
Yeah.
I mean, you're in a good spot. Obviously, there you got a lot of talented people. But yeah, ETN would go in for Pacheco if he's not able to go.
All right, there we go.
The official animal warden of the program with a couple fantasy football questions for Z.
Happy to help him.
He's starting CMC at running back. Need one more. Breece Hall, Javonte Williams, or Chuba Hubbard?
Is it a PPR league? I mean, the Jets, it should be Breece Hall, but the Jets have been, this last week, Breece Hall was terrible. 2 weeks ago, Breece Hall was great. Is it PPR?
I don't know.
You don't know? My guess is it's Breece Hall's the answer. I'm not excited about it, but Breece Hall's the answer.
Also for wide receiver, he's got Devontae Smith, Stephon Diggs, DJ Moore, and T. Higgins to fill 2 spots, one
Higgins
for a
and
flex.
DJ.
I like Higgins and DJ Moore as well.
Higgins there's no chase.
Yeah, Higgins is going to get a lot.
Higgins
of work.
he could go 10 for 140.
Yeah.
Got it. Beautiful.
All right, good
There
job
you go,
of
official
Dr. Z.
animal warden.
All right.
Taking care of our people. Time for a Mailbag Thursday presented by the Cross Country Mortgage Company, the official mortgage partner of your Cleveland Browns when it comes to financing. They're always going to get you home. Visit ccm.com today. Equal housing opportunity, NMLS 3029. Hello, Gibby.
Hi. Uno, you got a fantasy football question, too? Uno's got a question.
Uno!
We only answer questions from Griff.
Semifinals this week for me. Quarterback, Jared Goff or our very own Joe Flacco? I'm leaning Flacco just for the vibes.
For the vibes, then do it.
Okay.
Then go with it.
Roll with it.
Roll with it.
You think we're going to throw all over him?
Yeah, I don't think we're going to be able to run the ball. I do think we're going to have to throw it a lot. I think this is going to be a throwing game. So, yes, I do. That's what the tape and the matchup and the numbers would indicate. That, yes, if we're going to have success of an offense, it's going to be because we're throwing the ball.
Beautiful. Preston tweets at the show. You can tweet at the show at Browns_daily. The best Christmas gift you've ever received or given?
Received for me is easy. It was Christmas of 2017, and Miss K took my boards for the game that we did in London. Even though they did not look like these fun ones now. It was a very they were on manila envelopes, all handwritten. And she took those, framed those, and a picture of me and Jim Donovan and made like a big framed thing. So that's definitely the best gift I think I've ever gotten.
Was it a picture of you guys in
London?
Stadium in
Yep.
London?
Uh-huh.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah,
that's
it's
really cool.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's very, very good. I go old school, man. I mean, the two things that jump out to me, I wanted the Jordan 4s. I got those, I think, in 6th grade. Jordan 4 military blues. That was a big deal. I remember that vividly. And I remember several of the G.I. Joe operations being a big deal when I was really little. Like, that was a big wish. And I remember one time, like, you had to have Snake Eyes, or what's the point? And he was delivered. God bless. I don't know how, but got him. He was a tough one to get.
Man.
Yeah.
Mine
that
as a
that
kid,
was a good one.
as a kid, I got an X-Wing, like a big X-Wing.
Oh yeah.
And I loved it. It was awesome. And then it came with like the decals you could put on so it looked like it had been through the battle. And,
there you go.
And I put those on, and I was very happy with it initially. But then I was like, I want to go back to clean, and like they didn't have that kind of technology they have now.
Once
the sticker was on, it was on, and so it was permanent. Yeah. So that was that.
There's no way around
Yeah.
that.
Kyle
It's funny,
Benner.
this whole generation of kids, they don't have the action figures. There's none of that.
No, they don't know about that.
Kyle Benner, why doesn't Gibby ever smile? I do smile.
Great question.
I usually smile. It's usually at Zagura's expense.
Yeah, at his demise.
Yeah.
It's trying. It's an attempt. It's attempted demise, and normally I'm resilient and overcomes it.
That depends. Ben tweeted at us and asked, "Have either of you been to the Super Bowl?" Yes, they
Yes.
have. I have not. I have no
Bunches.
interest, unless our team is playing.
Let's go.
It's the
I-
one sporting
I think I've
event. I've been to every other professional championship, and I just don't need to go there unless my team was playing in it.
Yeah, it's a corporate event. The bigness of it, Z, I think, is kind of hard to wrap your head around. Just the humans that you run into, like running in. I remember running into Giselle Bündchen.
Oh yeah, the
after
people are everywhere.
Which was crazy. She was like an alien, like somebody that tall, that's that stunning. And that was after the Giants beat them in Indy. I remember that. I remember running into at the 9/11 Super Bowl, the one in New Orleans where the Patriots beat the Rams. That was the first Super Bowl I was at. I went in. It was strange. It was before Katrina, and the old Superdome was really convoluted at that time in terms of, as proved by Katrina. You get lost there. There were corridors. And I went what I thought was the press elevator down because the press box was in the stands.
Yeah.
And I walked right into President Bush's group.
Detail.
And it was clearly I am not in the right place, like very obviously. I was not in the right place. And the president was there with like all of his detail. I remember that one pretty vividly.
Wow. Yeah, I would say so.
all that. I mean, McCartney sang. I was at the one where U2. That's the Streets Have No Name.
Yeah.
Where they did that. That was crazy, nuts. When the lights went out in New Orleans when the 49ers played the Ravens. I mean, back in New Orleans again. That one felt. I didn't know what was happening. I thought maybe we were under attack. That was really scary when you were in the building.
Yeah. Yeah, I was not in the building for that. I left actually the day of, which I'm glad. Yeah, that had to be terrifying.
It is terrifying. Yeah.
Brown's Therapy has a question for us. Okay, boys, what is your go-to holiday adult drink when having company over? I'm taking notes.
I mean, that's why we did the apple pie bourbon. It's waiting.
Can I tell you
It's ready.
something?
Yeah.
I cracked mine last night.
Yep.
And it was the best. Miss Kay and I were. It was the best one. It's the best batch we've ever made. It was.
You wonder what it was. I mean, because it's always variable. What liquor did you use?
So this is
Woodford?
what I did. So this was I had a big Woodford.
Yep.
I got like pretty much an apple in there. Not quite. Maybe like a 3/4 of an apple because it actually fills up really quickly.
Sure does.
And one cinnamon stick for the and it's the big Woodford, and I think that was a perfect amount of cinnamon. And then what I did was I couldn't find enough Madagascar vanilla beans, and they are also quite pricey. So I got a huge thing, like an 8-ounce of Madagascar vanilla extract.
There you go.
And I threw a couple of ounces of that in there. And let me tell you something.
Oh, sure.
It is an absolute delight. Like it's the best one that we've ever done. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, it's spectacular.
It's spectacular.
I cracked mine last night as well. What I did with the vanilla beans is I went 2 of them, and I took a knife and I just split them.
Yeah, I love it.
Lengthwise.
Yeah.
And then it really bled into it. It was awesome. I did a big Woodford as well. And I did the same as you. I did 1 cinnamon stick. I did find that the 2 cinnamon sticks was a little
Too much.
overwhelming. So
Yeah,
I
too much.
pulled that out.
Yeah.
Went back to 1. And it's a delight. It's a
Oh
real
my God.
treat.
It's so good. It's crazy.
Yeah,
It's crazy.
It really is. Yeah.
Brad Howard with a football question. Is pass protection the reason we don't see as much Pierre Strong on offense? He seems like our most explosive back, but he hardly gets touches.
You know, I don't know. I don't have the answer to that because he's played a lot of the times in passing situations. So that, I don't believe, is the answer. They've got Ford's the lead back. Kareem Hunt's more the short yardage, like kind of, and gets a lot of the third down reps. And then, there's just not much left for Pierre. I think he's explosive. I'd like to see more of him. I feel like whenever he's on the field, he feels dangerous, which I like. And that's not a knock on any of the other guys. I just think that that's his strength is that explosive acceleration and burst. And so, yeah, I'd love to see more of Pierre Strong.
Let's see. Casey tweets at the show to the huge B's and Sir Gibbs a lot. What is your favorite all-time football viewing experience on either Christmas Eve or Christmas Day? I mean, the best moment that I've ever had in person was when we beat the San Diego Chargers to get our first win of
Jamie
the season.
Meter.
Jamie Meter, the Prince of Parma.
And now he patrols the stadium.
Yes. I mean, that was for a Christmas Eve. Not many Christmas Eves we've been relevant.
Yeah.
Or
it's
played
so
in a relevant
interesting.
game, I should say. And that one
I don't
just
really
was
have
special.
any. Because football is the NFL for me. Like growing up, like on Christmas, it was so not part of it.
Correct.
It wasn't, and so in terms of on Christmas Eve or Christmas Day, I don't really have anything. I remember you guys freezing last year.
That was brutal. The only time in
Oh, my
11 years
goodness.
the windows have been left in.
That was the Saints 2 years ago. I'm in
Green Bay.
Oh my
having
God, that was
Christmas Eve dinner in a hotel convention room.
See, folks, the NFL didn't used to do this.
It just also has fallen on. It's
only if it was Sunday they would play on Sunday, but that's it. They wouldn't play it Saturday or all the other days of the week. So you got it. It was once every 7 years. You got the NFL on Christmas.
It will be
but if memory
interesting.
serves, even in the old days, do I have this right? That even in the old days they didn't run a full slate, even if it was on Sunday. I thought they played Saturdays a lot of times. Seemed like the NFL took Christmas off.
Correct.
It used to be
I
the
could be
NBA.
wrong.
In the early 2000s, I can remember numerous Christmas Eve games or
Yeah.
games being moved up that should have been on Christmas Day that we played on Christmas Eve.
Yeah. What'll be interesting is because now we're finally out of the cycle, thank goodness. Somebody's going to get hosed next year with a Monday night game because Christmas Eve will be Monday night next year. But Christmas is Tuesday. They're not going to play on Tuesday, will they?
With a quick
No, they can't
turnaround, you
play on
can't.
Tuesday.
And bye weeks are done.
Yeah.
But they never used to play on Thursdays or Fridays on Christmas or Saturdays. Like they used to avoid it.
Sure.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what they do for Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays.
I think we're safe for 2 years.
Yeah.
I think we're going to be safe for 2 years. And then when it gets to Thursday, they'll play obviously on Thursday.
And they're right back in. Yeah.
No. Kevin said, "Isn't next year a leap year?"
Is it? What does that mean?
Well, it would move up to Wednesday, wouldn't it?
Oh, for God's sakes. Is that real?
Kevin Arnold, is it a leap year next year? Oh, yeah, who knows?
Yeah, so 2024 would be a leap year, and then so Christmas Eve would actually be Tuesday, and Christmas would be Wednesday.
Oh, so then we're going to be safe, like completely safe.
For 1 year.
For 1 year.
Gross.
2025, it's on a Thursday. Yeah, then right back into it.
Jeez. Let's see. Little Bobby time. Haven't heard from Bobby in a while.
Hey!
Hold on. I got one
Bobby.
here. Preston wants to know, what's the going rate to bring Big Griff down to my local bowling alley so we can run the tables on some of these local clowns and earn some extra Christmas cash?
Let me tell you something. We've got a match set up. Jimmy Bang Bang has a guy a kid who's currently a college bowler that's ready to take on Griff at the Soul and Freeway Lanes, and he's ready. This is going to be epic.
Griff, what's your rate to go run some clowns with Preston? Maybe just a split of the profits, or how do you want to do that?
He just says, "I'm just going to run the table."
Griff, the confidence he's got
is stunning.
I love
it's
it.
Amazing.
I love it.
Amazing. I'm so proud of him.
Bobby asked, "Why did your parents give you your name?" I don't understand that.
My mom, this is what my mom says. I don't know if it's true, but she says Nathan means gift of God.
It's appropriate. I couldn't think of anything better. I think it's possible I was named after a pickup truck. There was a GMC pickup truck that was called a Bo James, and my name is Bo James. Like
oh, my goodness gracious. That's incredible.
I think it's possible.
There's no chance you were consummated in a Bo James, were you?
It's all in play.
All right.
They're kind of smooth rides. They're pretty smooth GMC rides from back in the day.
Name one movie you think should have a sequel.
That doesn't?
Commando.
What was your answer?
Commando. I want more. I want Arnold in the mix. I mean, come on. So
it's pretty
questions.
good. I think most of the movies that I really, really like have had a sequel, even if it took 20 years to get a sequel.
Would you rather sit through a Star Wars marathon or a Lord of the Rings marathon?
Both.
Star Wars
Sign me up.
all day.
Lord of the Rings is great.
Lord of the
Sign me
Rings
up.
Sucks.
That sounds great.
I think Lord of the Rings, you're only talking about 9 hours, though. Like a Star Wars thing, you could be. I mean, when's that end? That could
That's
be all
9
day.
films.
But the Lord of the Rings has The Hobbit, too.
No,
that's
can it? That's got to be separation.
That's separate.
I don't need the Hobbit.
Yeah, the Hobbit.
Give me.
Well, I guess it's a prequel in many ways.
It is a prequel.
It's a
yes.
prequel, so you'd have 3 more movies there.
Just like Star Wars has prequels.
Yeah, but here's the thing: The Hobbit. Those are actually good movies. The Star Wars prequels, with the exception of the 3rd prequel, are terrible.
Agreed.
Pretty horrible. Yeah, as Bootsy would say.
Lord of the Rings sucks.
Lord of the Rings is great.
Sucks.
Did you watch it?
Yeah, I watched one movie. It was daylight when it started, and it was nighttime when I left.
Hey, Gibbe.
I was like, I'm done with this.
Did you feel
crap.
that way about The Godfather, Gibbe?
Yeah, Gibbe.
No, I love The Godfather.
Dude, Lord of the Rings are great. I watched the
is
director's cuts. Give me all the extended editions you can get.
Cuts.
Yeah, I want
One
all the
episode
extended edition.
Just takes 8 hours. It's
Let me tell you something. It's great. And Academy Award winning Return of the King. I mean, what are we talking about?
Yeah,
here?
that was so great.
Stunning.
Yeah, I got to get the boys into those.
Yes.
They're ready for the orcs. It's time. It's time. By the way, you can just fast forward through all the stuff with Frodo. That makes him a lot quicker, too.
Frodo.
Just fly through that.
Oh,
You don't
Sam.
need him walking with Samwell.
Come on, Samwise Gamgee.
Yeah, just do it at the beginning, get it up, but then after that, it's like, all right, more walking. All right, so much for come. You listen to Cleveland Browns Daily on 850 ESPN Cleveland. Join Z and Gerard tonight, 7 o'clock. Kevin Stefanski Show, University Hospital's Cleveland Browns Radio Network. Coach and Dalvin Tomlinson will join the program. We've got a score for tonight, Gibbe.
Much better than last week. New Orleans visiting Los Angeles and the Rams. 7-7 versus 7-7. Playoff implications. Zagura.
I think we said it yesterday, right? Saints by a billion.
Saints by a billion.
On a Thursday.
Yeah, on a Thursday.
Kids. Saints.
That's right.
By a billion.
30.
A billion.
Right, very good. The
That's
next
right.
level is coming up next. We are back tomorrow. Thanks for listening, everybody. Cleveland Browns Daily, 850 ESPN Cleveland.